Imagine if you auto-tuned Tom Waits or Björk or Bono or Tori Amos or any of my absolute heroes whose voices are so beautifully unique and not perfectly in tune, because that's what makes them human and that's what makes their storytelling so profound. Oh, mate, you've got to look after your Dunlop Volleys. They're special. Opera Australia are doing Phantom of the Opera. Even though it has the word opera in it, it's not an opera. It's a musical written by Andrew Lloyd Webber. And my favourite gigs in the world have been totally sober. That's the best way to experience music and to listen to it and to make it. But at the Brisbane gig, my two sons jumped up and played. And we played War Pigs by Black Sabbath and everything was healed.
And you're Aussie?
I was Aussie.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's lovely to see you, Katie.
It is great to see you too.
It's what a treat to be upstairs and make a cup of tea and
meet the dogs.
Yes, his dogs and my wife and.
I mean, I'm sorry, I do love humans, but
yes,
dogs.
Well, we
win.
evolved at the same time, and I think they're one of the besides great apes, they're the only ones that can read human facial expressions.
Oh yeah, I could not have survived. I've had the worst couple of years of my life. And I could not have survived without my beautiful bitch, Sassy the Stuffy.
Ah,
yeah,
nice.
She is extraordinary, and they just know they're sentient beings. They know when you need, cuddle, and when you need comfort, and when you need zoomies.
Yeah. So, do you remember the last time we met before I made you a cup of tea today?
Yes, I was emerging from a sloth character, I'm pretty sure.
On the Mark Singer?
Aha. Now, what a strange time that was. Something about that show, the catastrophic loss of income for artists in COVID was monumental. I got 3 dates into I think a 25 or 30 date sold out solo tour, which was basically
good margins on that. You don't have to pay a band.
Exactly.
It's great. The piano's already there.
Exactly. Well, I'm happy to I've lugged my own gear for years, but basically I'd just finished 4 years of pretty intense corporate-ish world running the Queensland Music Festival from 2016 to 2019, and then also artistic director of the Commonwealth Games. Which I think I still have PTSD from that. Anyway, so then 2020 was meant to be this is the year I get back to being just an artist. Yeah. And then this lovely disease, COVID, had another idea. And, as a self-employed artist, went from 100 to nothing in a week. I remember when it went from 100 to 50 to 10 to 2. And I was like, I could maybe make the tour work with 100 with 2 sittings and, just all the things that we were trying to do to survive. And then I got asked to do that show. Now, normally I would, I don't do those sort of things. But at that time, first of all, it saved my family, financially.
Yeah.
But secondly, it was the core audience average age was probably 8 or 10, I'm guessing. And it was just such a feel-good, family-friendly show that we desperately needed in times of desperate sadness.
Yeah.
And it wasn't trying to be meaningful or,
no.
It was fun. I loved being a sloth.
Utterly preposterous.
It was so silly. And it was great fun.
Tell me how it felt. You're a very recognisable person. How did it feel to be... it's just my voice here. I'm not being judged or prejudged at all by what I'm wearing or what my hair's doing or what's going on. Yeah,
that was surprisingly liberating, actually.
Yeah.
Sally was gorgeous. She was a tall, curvy lady. I called her
that's
Sally.
What you called her?
Sally
I was going to run.
Sorry, I called her Sally. And the designers were the costuming's bonkers.
Yeah.
The year before, because I'm such an oral person, I knew it was Kate. I knew Kate Sobrano.
Malahide.
I knew it was Kate as well once I went back and watched the show that same year. The year before I was like, that is clearly Kate Sobrano.
Oh,
How could we not, But that's because we're musicians. I'm a musician and we hear these things.
So my problem was, because I've got shit hearing, but also I don't have the in-ears that everybody else has. I I'm only getting the PA from the room. All the judges, they had the panel had in-ears, so they could get the nuance of the microphone. So I didn't have that, because I'm running off the stage and trying to avoid getting blown up by fireworks and stuff like this. So
and what was weird is we didn't even have a live audience. We had puppets. Remember?
Oh, we had. I think we hired 40 people who we paid to be in a bubble themselves.
Oh. Okay.
And they were in furry outfits.
Oh, they were humans.
Yeah, they were people.
I did not realise that.
Yeah. It was hard to see in those
my visibility was through the teeth of Sally, and it was about that much. Yeah. So, just walking was a small miracle.
I had to save more than one from falling off the stage.
Oh, my God. Yeah. I'm amazed that I didn't, actually.
It was such a delight because it like you said, it meant nothing.
Yeah.
It's just a very expensive game of peekaboo.
Yeah. And I got to sing a Lizzo tune, who I love. I got to sing a Whitney tune, who I love.
Yeah.
So 2 queens, and not easy songs to sing. My only thing that I did get put in the contract was that I didn't want to be tuned, because Autotune is, for those who don't know, it's a digital
you'll hear
processing.
You'll hear it on the hook of a Kanye West song
You'll
or the
hear it
Cher
on
song very famously, I believe.
But that's
very obvious, but it is used quite a bit.
Basically, it's used all the time. And I fundamentally am opposed to it. And it came out early days of George. Autotune was this thing, and now I think there's about 1 million different options. And I was like, no, imagine if you auto-tuned Tom Waits or Björk or Bono or Tori Amos or any of my absolute heroes whose voices are so beautifully unique and not perfectly in tune, because that's what makes them human and that's what makes their storytelling so profound. So the one thing I did do was say, no tuning. I want to sound like myself. I can sing in tune. I've worked hard at that. So it was a slightly strange situation, because obviously there were a lot of people on there who weren't professional singers.
Look, I'm not privy to the post-production process, Katie Noonan. I'm not privy to the post-production process, but let's say if you were, I don't know, a
tennis player,
footballer, or some sort of athlete of some description,
comedian,
and we need to get 90 seconds of
relatively
recognizable melody for people to go,
what is that?
Oh, it's the Madonna song.
Yeah.
Perhaps there was something that was put on in post.
Yes,
I don't know. I wasn't there.
No. We probably had NDAs that we're not meant to say anything about this anyway.
I'm glad you had a good time.
I had a great time.
So it was fun. Before today, that was the last time that we met. Do you remember the first time we met?
Well, I remember being a Feebles junkie sort of groupie.
That was my band.
Yes, your band
before
in the
that,
90s.
about 20 years before that.
Really?
Yeah.
Did we do... Oh, was it Stoliarski?
We went to the same music school.
So many people went there.
I will never forget standing on the street. I think it was
Was it Metro Arts? Yeah, it was the Metro Arts.
On Edward Street in Brisbane, out the front. It must have been a school holiday camp thing.
Yep.
And
early 80s would have been.
Maybe 86, 87, something like that. Mm-hmm. And I remember being on the street, getting dropped off, by mum, just on the street.
Yeah.
I don't know, I was 10 or 11?
Yeah.
Maybe 11 years old.
Back when helicopter parenting did not exist.
Oh, no, you'll be fine. You're in the city.
Yeah.
You know where the bus stop is? Bye, kids.
Yeah.
And I remember going upstairs.
Yep.
And I remember very significantly connecting with you in some way out the front.
Yeah.
About...
Maybe with my brother too.
I know. I just remember you because I think I asked, I don't know where we go.
Yeah.
And you said very matter-of-factly, we go upstairs to the choir room.
I don't remember this.
Well, of course you don't, because it was 40 years ago.
Wow.
And I figured out later on, it was very obvious to you because that's where mum is.
Yes, because mum was a teacher.
Your mum taught that day, and I remember singing that day because I had been in a choir. And so it was the first time I met you.
Oh, my God. Yeah. And you know who else I met then, who I also don't remember, is Karen Sharp, who I've since made 4 albums with.
Her mum was my guitar teacher.
Isolde. Yeah. So Isolde taught guitar and my mum taught singing. So apparently Karen and I met in the 80s, but neither of us remember. And you guys are a similar age, actually. So she was a little bit older than me. So, at that age, 2-3 years is like a universe.
Oh, of course.
Apart.
Yeah. Hormones do wonderful things.
So many people went to that school.
Well, it was the part of Brisbane that if you had any kind of inkling that there might be something going on here because of the gaping chasm of artistic engagement in the 80s Bjelke-Petersen government, there was none of that available in the schooling system. So parents who saw that their kid was into this and wanted to, well, they were interested in that. Let's get them to do that.
Yeah.
And some who went, no, you are going to play in the Berlin Philharmonic no matter what.
Yes. Stoliarsky started by this Russian family at the Metro Arts, which was the home of independent art making for so many years, and actually ended up being where, when I started my opera degree at the Conservatorium when it was at Gardens Point, that's where you went and did your acting classes and your movement classes, because the building was too small at Gardens Point, and then it moved to South Bank in 96. And I remember the jazz department of the con was above the Brisbane office of Alcoholics Anonymous, which was quite a interesting, perhaps, window into the future of quite a few jazz musicians.
I'm not saying I go to those meetings because it would be, a breach of
the fellowship.
Some sort of fellowship.
Yes, yeah.
However, I have been to sobriety meetings in a bar, and they were the ones that really saved me because it was a bar during the daytime on Sunset Boulevard.
It's like exposure. I guess it's like exposure therapy in a way.
Well, it was a meeting started by the hair metal guys in the early 90s when grunge came along, and their incomes basically coveted their income, gone. Because people went, oh, no, we don't care about big hair anymore. Over. And so all these guys with mortgages and houses and shit were like, oh, shit, nobody wants to.
Wow.
Oh, you don't need to go anymore. What happens?
You just need to look at the floor and
so
throw your bass up.
That was all gone. And so these guys, they started a meeting at the Key Club, which was the big kind of metal club of the time. And it ended up being down there.
That's extremely metal.
It was pretty cool.
That's very cool.
I was very lucky to get to that one because all the ones I'd been to before that, I'm like, but I don't know. And
you got to find your tribe, whatever you do.
Well, I sat in there, and I remember, never forget it. I sat in there the first time. I went, okay, so I've interviewed you, and you. I've camped out for your tickets. I've got all your. Okay, I'm here. And a bloke got up and he said, "It's all well and good." He had a British accent. It's like it's all well and good. It's not drink during the day. But when I walk off stage and 10,000 people are screaming my name, what the fuck? What do I do with that?
How am I going to come down from that?
What do I do with that? Yeah. I was like,
that's exactly what I'm feeling.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
What do I do now? It's 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And
that's been my life the last.
What happens from here?
Pregnancy's good. That's a really good cure for alcoholism, by the way. Yeah.
All right. Well, there's abstinence.
There is, and I'm
which
in
is
that.
pregnancy.
I'm in that at the moment, which I've tried various times, but now I think I'm finally realizing that it's not a choice anymore. Yeah.
I had to trick myself into it.
Yeah.
I was telling someone the other night at this writers' festival about, she's from an author from Brisbane. I was telling her, like, Brisbane drink is country drinking. Like, it's just. Mate,
we drink to get drunk.
Oh, I'll bring my gumboots because then I won't get any spew or piss on my volleys. So let's go.
Oh, mate, you've got to look after your Dunlop volleys. They're special.
Yeah,
you've got to have a clean pair.
Sure. Yeah, it's not my line. I'll drop a terrible name if I told you told it to me. But
it's a good one.
When I lived in, there was a line. I lived in Los Angeles for 10 years. And this particular actor, she said to me, you don't realise you've got a drinking problem until you leave Australia. True.
Yes. Well, dear friend Sears been sober for a long time now.
Yeah.
And Australia. I love Colin Hay. Have you seen him play? Colin Hay from Men at Work?
Yeah. No, I've not seen him.
He's been sober a very, very, very long time, and his take on it is great. He does this amazing impersonation of Australians and how, we have this culture of. It's the reward-based culture on Friday night and then the weekend drink, the people that work the 9 to 5s and then the weekend you just get munted. And that's just totally normal. And then that slowly morphs into, every night and blah, blah, blah. And particularly I find when a lot of my mates anyway, when we had children young and you'd finally get the kids to sleep and then you were like, okay, now it's time for a glass of wine, blah, blah, blah. And then that turns into however many. And, it's an interesting journey. But it's all about finding your tribe always in life, whether it be a fellowship meeting or – I remember I went to one meeting in a particularly fancy part of North Sydney and I thought, this will just be ladies who lunch, And it was awesome. It was all ex-crims from the Cross, from the 80s, who were all out of jail. And they were sick, and they had the best stories about how they'd go into the bank and take out money for X. And then this was pre-digital banking. Yeah. And then they go to the ATM before the bank realised that the money wasn't there, and they take the money out from the ATM. Then they go score. And one fellow was there, beautiful fellow, who was celebrating 40 years sober that night, which was incredible. But yeah, I thought it'd just be ladies who lunch from, Lavender Bay or whatever it is.
When you've got, if you're a Lower Shore in Sydney is a kind of quite high income, like generational wealth income.
Exactly.
Kind of.
Yeah.
When you've got a bottomless money pit, things can get bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. But even if you don't, you still find a way. You just drink the cheapest shit possible or whatever.
I was told early on, if you put 50% of the effort into staying clean that you used to put into organising everything and lining everything up and making sure the flights were there so the bar was open by the time you got to the airport and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. If you put half the effort into doing this, you'll be fine because you're already used to organising your life so much addiction. So you can do this. It takes less effort than that. Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a insidious disease, and one that is, well, I'm Irish Catholic as well, so,
Born for it.
I am so born for it.
And only 2 children. Disappointing.
I know.
You'd think you'd be double figures.
It's because I've got stage 4 endometriosis.
Oh, right, that'll do it.
I desperately wanted more and unfortunately lost a few, but I was very, very lucky to have 2 at all.
Wow, that's
and
amazing.
Luckily, I found the father of my children early. We lasted 26 years and I've only just turned 49. So, my pretty much entire adult life. And had we not started young, I wouldn't have been able to have kids unassisted. I would have had to, use IVF or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I was lucky. 26 when I fell pregnant with Dexter and then 27 with Jonah.
Back to back.
So I didn't mess around in that way.
No.
That was quite Catholic.
Got right on there.
Yeah. But then Endo had other ideas.
Oh,
yeah.
I was lucky that when I made my second doco, we got to talk quite a bit. I made a documentary about chronic persistent pain, and we got to follow a story of a woman who got a nerve implant with endometriosis. So I was grateful that we were able to follow that story and take that story into the world.
It's finally getting the attention it deserves. My mum absolutely had it. My grandmother had it. They all had hysterectomies, all the Catholic contraception, But my mum was, when she described the symptoms, it was 100%. When I was finally diagnosed, and I must say all my GPs were men up until that point. No discredit, they were great GPs, but it was finally a female specialist who, when looking at my lovely, very broken uterus, said, you have had endometriosis since your first period, which was in 1990. So you've had it for 36 years. And I'd been basically every month I was out for a week. And then obviously when later in life the amount of bleeding is so profound, I was having iron infusions every month. And then, it took 35 years to be diagnosed, 32 years to be diagnosed. And unfortunately, the thing was then they'd just give you Nurofen Plus, which has codeine. So my codeine receptors are gone because I've basically lived on that every month for 30 years because I was in such... And one time I thought it was period pain and it was actually a rupturing... appendix. That's how bad the pain. Like I thought that was period pain.
Oh my gosh.
And then another time it was a perforated colon.
Good Lord.
Which is pretty serious. And I went into early sepsis, but I was like, I've got to get the stuff for camp for Jonah and I've just got to get to Big W and buy a tent. And I was just so like, I'm doing this. And then went to the doctor and she said, I think you should just have a little ultrasound just to check. I'll call you. And then she rang me at 6 and said, go to hospital immediately. And I was in agony, but I thought it was period pain.
You were in surgery pretty quickly.
I managed to avoid surgery, thankfully. But
hang on. Did Johnny get to camp?
He did. Of course he did.
Of course he did.
And he had all his shit packed. He had all his stuff ready.
It's such a mum thing. And my mum was mum of 4 boys.
Oh, God.
But it's such a mum thing. It's such a... That's motherhood. It's like, I know this, whatever's happening within me, I am going to do this.
Yeah.
So I've got to get this. You need 2 flanos and I've got the list here.
He needed a jacket.
Bang, bang.
He needed
dude,
things.
that's been defrosted. I've got this thing on the yep. Okay. Great.
4 boys. Holy moly.
Yeah.
I had 2 and then a husband, so 3 essentially. But 4 I can't fathom.
It was a lot. It was 9 years.
So she was a full-time mum.
Yeah, she did it by herself from when the oldest was 13.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
And where are you in the
I'm 2.
order? You're the second oldest?
I'm the 2, yeah.
So you would have been involved with a bit of parenting as well.
Well.
Sort of. Oh, no, you were a teenage boy. Your brain didn't work.
No, well, this is the thing.
Yeah. It doesn't work till 26.
We know a lot more now than we did then. But
your prefrontal cortex was shot.
No,
didn't actually really.
There was a lot going on. But
no risk assessment, no.
No. But it did, it was a interest-based attention system that I've since, there's all kinds of wonderful acronyms that I can use to describe my brain now. I've been diagnosed for things. But it was a thing that made me go, I don't know, I'm just going to play this thing.
Yep.
I'm going to play this guitar, play this piano, sing this song. And music for me was such an incredible expression of that. And I'm grateful that my parents found that in us. And in Brisbane, it was very hard to find.
Oh, yeah.
But
well, I mean, you were the laws in the 80s. Dame Quentin Bryce is my mentor and my second mum and a dear, dear friend.
Former Governor General.
Such a badass. First female Governor General in Australian history. Former Governor of Queensland. Mother of 5 and barrister and first woman to ever teach law at University of Queensland, but also go to the PNC meetings and make the cakes for, whatever school her 5 children
do
were
the big
at.
W thing, get the kids to camp.
Yep, exactly. She's and a country woman, and very Queensland. I had a point. DQB. Oh, yes. She was at the protests in the 80s. I don't know if you've watched the documentary that, what's his name, that amazing filmmaker? Is it Krim Wenders? Anyway, he made this great documentary on Stan and Richard Roxburgh plays Joh Bjelke-Petersen. It's fascinating. And it's got all the dudes. It's got Ed Cooper and the dudes from the Saints and people from the Go-Betweens. And
I read Pig City. That's about it.
Well, it's Pig City as a doco, but from the perspective of Joh.
Right.
And his sort of, madness really. But how much people loved him too.
Oh, yeah.
And how many insane laws he got through for Parliament.
Oh, One Nation's they're not writing, they're a cover band.
Yeah,
and not a good one.
That started in the 80s.
This stuff's been around for a long time.
The gerrymander vote, and then it was illegal to have, the raiding of 4ZZZ radio.
Yeah. More than 3 people walking down the street was a march.
Exactly. But Dame Quentin was at those marches. There's footage of her there with Udru Nunakul, otherwise known as Kath Walker, and all the Sigrid Thornton's mum, Merle Thornton, who basically started second wave, was at the vanguard of second wave feminism. Because when she moved to Brisbane, women were not allowed in the beer garden. They weren't allowed in pubs. So she chained herself famously to the bar at the Regatta. And when she came from Melbourne to Brisbane and was just astonished at how much the drinking culture was a part of life, that protesting was also just, you had to protest to have basic human rights upheld, but that women weren't allowed in the pubs. And as she was at university, she started the first gender degree study in Australia at UQ. But you go to uni and then all the men would go to the bar and that's where they'd discuss the legal issues and stuff, and she wasn't allowed in. And so anyway, but the basic story is Queensland had a particularly crazy history where culture was hard. And
very
it was hard
upon.
For my mum. I mean, she moved, she was the star of Sydney, first woman to get a full scholarship to the Sydney Con in 1965, I think. And she moved to Brisbane in 1977. Yeah.
Right in the thick of it. Right in the thick of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And was like, wow, whoa. Okay.
My dad and mum, both immigrants, and dad had been in Prague as like 10 years before, 12 years before, was in Prague, and was in London 5 years before.
Oh, God.
and then ends up in Brisbane in 1979 going, what the fuck?
Why?
What?
Brisbane?
Oh, he got a job at the RBH as a registrar.
Ah, well, Dad was a journalist for the ABC for 17 years.
So that was that. Yeah.
He got a job.
But it was interesting, and you mentioned that little arts centre.
Metro
People
Arts,
still found it. People still found each other.
And you had to be a renegade. It was an act of defiance.
It was odd to be there, but that group of people knew each other and saw, and people found each other, and I'm sure people found each other around football clubs and things like that as well.
Cultures.
But these people, they found each other, and I remember Dad buying tickets to shows that, like through word of mouth, like someone would call him and say, "Oh, Steve Reich's coming.
Oh, wow.
Would you want to come and we're going to sell some tickets?" Like the promoter would be calling people. Before emailing lists and letters and like he would just literally call people on the phone.
And the Courier Mail wouldn't run a story.
And I remember sitting there watching Steve Reich
oh, wow.
doing all that. I go,
His minimalist.
It came to Brisbane.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So this stuff still happened. But music education, it's so vitally important. It's very sweet of you to mention my old band. That bass, the second one, the one on the corner there, that was on stage.
Now, and I seem to recall that you used to perform sitting on a toilet seat.
I think that was Ant.
Someone performed on a toilet seat. I just
Ant
remember going, this is cool. It's sort of performance art. It's very weird.
Yeah, we did a bit of that. And it was quite an incredible time to be in the Brisbane music scene.
Yeah.
I put out 2 EPs. I am on a record Resin Dogs made, but at some point, I played double bass in Resin Dogs for a while.
Holy moly.
And then I, at the time, couldn't write songs, and it all the puff kind of went out of it.
I saw Catch just recently. He was DJing as the opening act for the late night orchestra gig.
He's amazing.
Yeah. He's also totally sober.
There you go.
Yep.
Nice one.
Most of us at this point of life have gone, all right, that's enough. That's enough.
Eventually, I'm actually okay.
Weren't sober in the late 90s, early noughties. We definitely were not. I didn't go that. I went hard really early and then went, I'm going to die. So I stopped.
Right.
And then heroin came into my circle of friends.
Oh, Jesus.
And that's when I was like, okay, I'm out. Like everything.
Yeah.
Cold turkey. Nothing. Ciggies, pot, the whole shebang. It was mainly pot. I mean, that was really it. And so I went hard early and then stopped. And then, the alcohol just started coming in more. You get given it for free at gigs.
Yeah.
People have it as a little before the gig to take that edge off the blah, blah. Whereas my
congratulations on your ARIA. Here's a gift box.
Yeah. And my favourite gigs in the world have been totally sober. Right. That's the best way to experience music and to listen to it and to make it. Yeah. I've never made a record under the influence or anything like that. But, it's tricky because it's everywhere. But times are really changing. Both my children are sober.
Wow.
And they're 19 and 21. And a lot of their friends are
too. They started and stopped or just never really started?
Oh, no, they started.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they stopped.
Okay.
And they've really conquered that
good for them.
Thing.
That's amazing as a young man.
Neither of their parents did until much later in life.
She's 22 now, and I've noticed, and they have prees and stuff here sometimes, they just don't drink. Like people that
we did.
I knew, even of that age.
Yeah.
People that I knew, by the time I was 20 or something, I was actually having actual live human female girlfriends. I actually figured out how to look people in the eye by then, thank you to a great therapist. And I'd seen drinking and using by 20, 21-year-old, women. Yeah. They don't do it like that.
Yeah, there's much more education now. I mean, we used to go, the State of Origin was sponsored by whatever alcohol but it was everywhere. Now the really big elephant in the room is gambling.
Oh, dude,
that's the new. I mean, it's not a new addiction, but the fact that it's allowed to be advertised to young people's brains and to addicts' brains is. At least cigarettes have all those revolting pictures and there's significant research.
At least they have to wait half an hour or so for the booze to arrive at my front door. I could do my ass on a phone sitting right here, right now.
I know. I've got all those apps. I don't anymore, but I did 5 14-day quarantines.
Wow.
Can you imagine how many times I texted Jimmy Brings?
Or
whatever
Jimmy
called?
Brought.
Jimmy Brought. He delivered.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, in COVID as well,
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah, alcohol is a widely available, socially acceptable depressant that can be somewhat useful for a wide variety of mild mental
Yes, and
discomfort.
if you're not an addict, Like if you can, there are plenty of functional, so I remember I read this thing, I was thinking, I wonder how many people, so the recommended alcohol consumption, I think, is no more than 4 drinks a night and 10 a week. That's what that's the official government line. And I thought, no one does that.
Yep.
Like, come on, who does that? And it's actually over 50% of the population.
Oh, man.
And I thought it'd be like 5.
It's as carcinogenic.
It's 50.
It's as carcinogenic as nicotine and asbestos, but you don't see people digging up the BWS because there was some landfill in there.
No, no.
But hey, all I know is it is.
Times are changing though. The education is there. Yeah. And your daughter and my sons are living examples of that, which is very inspiring. Yeah.
It is. And it does. I never smoked weed before I went on stage. It changed. I couldn't pitch. I couldn't hit pitch. But drinking, not too much. Oh. Because
before and on.
Yeah.
The whole shebang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've now since found that, if I am completely nothing when I'm performing, that connection that I'm hoping for, that I'm searching for, the receiving of that adulation, which a part of me still wants, gosh, it's far more powerful. This is way better.
Wow.
And my ability to communicate and connect with people is way better.
So I actually think I've always had a problem with the ego attachment to performing in music, because fundamentally in the early days I had a lot of difficulty receiving compliments, and people were like, oh, she's so stuffy or whatever. And it was literally just, I feel like I've given so much of myself in the song and the performance, and then taking a compliment for it somehow, I think it's Catholic guilt stuff. It's all the things. And I actually think alcohol helped numb that weird thing
early on
too.
on Australian Idol the first time around. I very much relate to that feeling. Yeah. Early on, I was like, oh yeah, none of that. And Marsha, who is a physically powerful person and always has been a very fit and strong person.
No nonsense.
Doesn't mind getting around with no sleeves because she's got some cannons.
Oh my God, she's amazing.
Yeah. And she's like, take the fucking compliment, honey. Okay, thanks, Marsha.
Thanks, Marsha.
Okay. So take the fucking compliment. It's a fucking slap in the face when you slap in the face to that person. And you say thank you. Yes. Okay, good. Thank you, Marsha.
I wish
I'd never known
someone
that.
had
And she's been on stage since she was 16.
I wish someone had told me that a little earlier. I've got it now, and it's such a profound, the reason you write music is because you have to. You don't write it for commercial viability. I mean, Australian radio hasn't sounded Australian for a very long time.
No. Like,
commercial radio, obviously.
You don't make money selling a record. Well,
no, you don't.
You used to give away the concert ticket so people buy the record, and now you give away the record so people buy the concert ticket. And so when you say things like 100 sold out shows or 25 sold out shows, and you're playing 1,500 seaters and more, like that's a fair whack of income that can
at the beginning.
For you.
These were intimate shows. They were only like 300-400.
But still, bums on seats is.
And I was the sole financial provider for a family of 4 with 2 at private schools. Yeah. So, not because I strongly believe in state education and the kids went to state school for primary school.
Katie, don't apologise for it. We pay for the best things we can afford.
We do.
And at the absolute limits of what we can afford.
Yes.
Every single person goes, yeah, okay, when they're signing a mortgage or saying yes for their kids to do, whatever school you go to, no one goes, well, I'm living within my means.
No.
And that whole 15, 20%, if you're doing that, you're fucking weird.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
So don't,
I do just really believe that's another thing of mine is the power of music education and how important it is. I mean, there are reams and reams and reams and reams of studies showing that, and we're great examples of that, of people that receive quality music education in their formative years. It changes their entire capacity. It changes their brain function. It changes their sense of belonging, their sense of community, their sense of self-worth.
Their ability to think about problems.
Yes. Autonomy and realising that practising something leads to that, which leads to that, just basic life skills. You don't get it right straight away.
And the only difference between someone who's expert and someone who isn't is not talent.
It
is
practice.
You know what talent is? Talent is sitting down and doing it.
Yeah.
That's what talent is. So I'm writing another book right now, and one of the chapters based on conversations I've had here. and one of the chapters is talent might get you in the door, but hard work keeps you there.
Oh, yeah.
You might have a thing, but that thing, that twinkle in your eye is, I don't know, when we're done here, I'm going to go home and do this 400 times so that tomorrow I'll be a little bit better at it.
Yeah.
And once you have those skills, have that muscle memory, particularly with the kind of very technical singing that you are capable of, people, because you also play piano, and that is something that is far more visual, so people can understand it because they can see the muscles in your hands moving. Yeah. But when you're doing the kind of vocals that you can do, you have an extraordinary vocal range. The muscles that need to work.
Thank you, Andrew. Did you hear I just said thank you for the compliment?
You're welcome.
Thank you.
The muscles that need to work for you to be able to make those shifts. It is like Simone Biles level gymnastics going on inside to disengage one set of muscles and engage another set of muscles within that long and hit that note. High stakes note.
Yes. I've just started, well, not just. 5 years ago, I started an a cappella ensemble called ARIA, Australian Vocal Ensemble, which is a big dream I have because there is no major performing or minor performing arts organisation that pays a singer to be a singer. And these are organisations that receive millions and millions and millions of dollars of taxpayer money every year. Yeah. The only full-time position is a chorus position at Opera Australia, and the salary is about $50,000 a year.
You can't live in Sydney.
You can't live on that.
If Opera Australia is based in Sydney, you can't afford to live here.
No.
Not
and
$50,000.
the average salary in Australia is about $100,000.
Yeah.
The CEO of Opera Australia probably earns 3, 4, 5 times that. So it's a big passion of mine. But Ave, I can't tell you how long we talk about diphthongs and vowel shapes and what E shape are we doing on this note? Is it an E? Is it an E? Is it like, it's wild when it's just a cappella voice and it's only 4 voices, which is very rare. Most vocal ensembles are 6 or 8. But yeah, the amount of time we spend on vowel shapes is alarmingly long.
But that's all the stuff when people study opera. Like, what do you mean you study opera? My friend Damien went through that, and he's a composer now. And
Damien Barber?
Yes, of course.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, well, I was in my
there
first,
when I was there.
Oh, I was in my first band with him, Emma. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
But I'll say, what do you do? He goes, I learned how to say, I don't know, kettle in Italian all day.
Yes.
That's what I did today.
Yes.
But
pianist.
because I was getting it wrong.
Yes. And you learn how to fall. I remember having to learn how to fall because you do need to fall a lot in dying or fencing and
What do you think people's biggest misconception of opera is?
Well, that's complicated because I think opera in Australia, well, first of all, Opera Australia are doing Phantom of the Opera. Even though it has the word opera in it, it's not an opera. It's a musical written by Andrew Lloyd Webber. It's a commercial construct, and I see no reason why it has taxpayer-funded money. That's a separate discussion. The biggest problem I have with opera is the ticket price, the elitism, and the fact that it's not available to all Australians. However, I adore it as an art form. The music is divine. My mum's an opera singer. My favourite singers are Luciano Pavarotti, Cecilia Bartoli, of course, La Stupenda, Dame Joan Sutherland. It is a spectacular art form that requires a lifetime of commitment to get right.
Why would a person in Australia go and see a slow motion falling lady singing in Italian for 3 hours?
Because it's some of the most magnificent music ever written. And there's a reason why we keep on doing La Bohème and Madame Butterfly and Aida and Tosca and Carmen and, they are spectacular works of art from a time when large-scale storytelling that costs a lot of money. There's a symphony orchestra, there's a chorus, there are amazing props and costumes and singers, and it's a spectacular art form. There's nothing like it. There's nothing that spectacular that involves all of the things, orchestra, choir, chorus, singers, costumes, storytelling, acting, lighting, directing, blah, blah, blah. If you enjoy going to a state of origin game and having 80,000 people screaming at the top of their lungs, opera could be like that, just in a different way.
I would agree. Yeah. I've seen some pretty good ones. I've seen some ones I've fallen asleep in, but yes, I've seen some pretty good ones.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that we do come back to the same thing. But then again, it's been
they're classics because
it's been 26 years. When I'm DJing, if I played Sandstorm, people are going to go.
Yeah.
People will go for it.
Yeah.
Because it's, this one.
Yeah.
It's,
And Verdi and
Oh, yeah.
Puccini and Bizet.
But it's hard to put on. Like, it's a difference between getting 3 other girls to come and sing with you. That's an
Yes.
easy rehearsal to coordinate.
But what it is an incubator of a lot of employment.
Well, that's the other thing.
That's why,
Yeah.
of course, I'm always going to fight for that, because so many of my
Yeah.
colleagues, arts administrators, singers, whatever, costume designers, lighting designers, producers, directors, etc., they work for these companies, and they therefore have a salary, and that can help fuel their other more experimental works. The problem is, if we keep just doing, my thing is, if you're going to get that much money from the federal government, I think there needs to be a minimum quota of Australian content, because why should Australian taxpayer dollars pay for stories from, the 19th, 18th, 19th century, when it should also be telling our stories and I'm not saying 50-50, that's an unrealistic quota, but at least something, so that
Very similar argument to the streaming platform scenario. It is our very ability to tell stories, and this is so vital. And whether we tell our stories in many ways. We can tell our stories through speaking it. We can tell our stories through dance. We can tell our stories in a book. We can tell our stories with a song. Who's going to write the Flame Trees of 2026? That's a song, right? That's a song that defines what a summer in Australia felt like, when someone has been in the big city and then they're driving home again. This is a moment in time. You can feel the fucking grain of the film, of the photo, of the moment, right?
So the reason that those bands that we're not finding those bands now, in my opinion, is gambling. Pubs, which is where Chisel and Feebles Junkie and my band and any band of renown now, we played in pubs, and then Pokies took over and they made more money.
We were playing in bands around the same time when the band room that we used to play in.
Yeah.
So, no, we're not there tonight. Where are we? We're over there. Because here, there's now 10 machines that make this pub break even by 11 a.m.
Absolutely. And supports one of the most horrendous diseases that destroys families and lives every day. Yeah. So that was the first downfall. The second thing is that we haven't had a national leader who's really advocated for the integral need for the arts in our country, sadly, since Paul Keating. That was 30 years ago. His prime ministership ended in 1996. Now, he was quite elitist. He was all about opera and classical and all that stuff, whereas thankfully people like Tony Burke, he understands the power of a band in a rock room and, plays himself in a band. But there hasn't been a true artist, someone who's been able to articulate and galvanise the need for championing Australian storytelling since the 90s.
It's so important. I feel really strongly about it, because I feel without it, if we lose the ability to tell our stories, if we lose these, and we've already lost it in many ways, the standing armies of people that could put on a festival for 40,000 people in the hills around, Torquay, that's a hard thing to do. And you might have the lineup, but have you got the guy that can get you 7 kilometres of fencing by tomorrow?
No.
Because that guy's had to go and find other work.
Well, and it's the insurance is what's killed. The insurance is killed. I just saw St Mary's Underground's shutting now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And, that used to be the basement, and I did so many gigs there. And then the Soul Bar on the Sunshine Coast, where I live on Gubby Gubby Country, it just shut down. It's been the home of independent music on the Sunshine Coast for over 25 years. And I'm going to New York in a couple of weeks, and it's not unique to Australia. Insurance has
CBGB's is a John Vivados shop. I bought a T-shirt there.
I was going to be playing the Bitter End, which is the longest running rock and roll club in New York. It's been there since 1961, and all my heroes have played there. And thankfully it's not too big, But like where I played last time, Rockwood Music Hall, it was a COVID casualty. Like it's a real... We haven't recovered, and now we've got dickhead doing the Iran thing and the fuel prices and cost of living and genuine financial distress.
Yeah, but let's be clear,
we're not Australians.
And I was talking about this just on the weekend. Powderfinger have openly said that their manager Paul Patico went into the Department of Social Security, this is Centrelink, and said, look, here's these 5 guys, here's me, here's us looking for work, this is us looking for work.
No, I knew where every dole office was in Australia with George. We'd go every 2 weeks.
They worked out a payment plan, and they went, okay, we'll give you a year. And that year was the year that they got signed to a record company.
Yeah.
And Darren Hawthorne on a Channel V interview goes, thank you, Australian government, for paying our doll and letting us just go on tour and get good.
That's what we did.
But it's not just about getting these 5 people, we're paying them to be there. No. You are giving the 2,000 people that show up to be in a room together a reason to be there.
Yeah.
And it is
and
about,
to belong.
And that is the thing. It is about how can we get people in our community to come together around a thing that they feel the same about.
Yeah.
All right? Because you mentioned footy a couple of times. I talk about it all the time. Like, you can go to a State of Origin game. In that stadium, we all agree Queensland should win.
Yes.
All right? In that stadium, there are people who vote very differently on the day they buy their sausages. And that's so important that we have this thing that we all agree on.
We're all equal.
And that is it's sport, but it's also a song. It's a film. It's a TV show. It's a book.
Yep.
That is what arts funding is about. It's about the audience, giving the audience something to focus on and commune around.
Yeah.
It's not.
And get off screens. I mean, screens have been the best and worst thing. Loneliness is at a record high. I mean, somehow my beautiful dad died 2 years ago, and we were so lucky that it was a beautiful death. He died at home with the love of his life next to him, with my brother and I singing and praying with him. And I realized then how lucky he was to have music around him and his family. And I thought, wow, isn't it sad that that's a privilege that somehow I want a millionaire to give me money to create a program where we can sing people to death, find their favourites, because hearing's the last thing to go. Anyway, but loneliness has become our greatest.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I would love to do that somehow.
Music is like, I don't understand what these slow motion, falling lady in the opera song is singing, okay?
Doesn't matter. You can feel it.
The symmetrical vibrations of air travel across the room and into my ears and make goosebumps happen for me.
Yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah.
That's something that is important. That is a way of shifting mood state.
Decades of work that woman has done to create that instrument. Like, if you see Emma Matthews, one of our finest opera singers in Candide, at the Opera House on the harbour, I mean, it's unbelievable. And in Ave, my 3 colleagues are all strictly classically trained, and I've learnt a lot from them, which has been wonderful.
They'd be very upset with the amount of vocal fry you're speaking to me with now.
That's so
vocal
true.
conservation,
So much
Katie.
vocal fry.
You can't speak like that.
Yeah, no, you really can't. But they are all freelance singers, some of the greatest singers in the world. Being a freelance artist in Australia it's so rough.
Yeah, but I don't know how to do anything else. That's
I know.
Yeah.
That's all we can do.
You mentioned before you don't write music because you want to, you write it because you have to. I'm not going to say your record's a breakup record.
Oh, it 1,000,000%.
It's a 1,000,000% a breakup record?
Yes.
Two of my, like, one of my favorite.
26 years.
One of my favorite albums ever is a breakup record. It's a Sea Change from Beck. It's one of the most fucking unbelievable. How would you describe to people who've never done it, what's the benefit of sitting down and singing the emotion?
Well, I never meant to write this record. It certainly wasn't on my... So November 2024, I got a letter and was told my marriage was over, and we'd been together 26 years, and that was 25 years at that point, but 26 years was our relationship sort of thing. And so then, all the things happen and you move into survival mode, and then once you settle, things just come out. And I didn't intend to write these songs. They just fell out. They had to. And music has always been essentially my therapy. I see a therapist as well, but it's the only way I can articulate my feelings honestly. And since I was... my first gig was 30 years ago. I was 19, just turned 19, just seeing Jeff Buckley at Seagulls on the Gold Coast, and was like, whatever that is, I want to do that, and started my band George that year. And all I've known is to process my emotions as to my place in the world, and my response to the world is through music. So the songs fell out. Those ones are pretty darn, sad. But then at the same time, I'm sure you would know this amazing fella for many reasons, but also Brisbane, similar age, Trent Dalton, reached out to me in February last year and gifted me 153 pages of unpublished exclusive text that he wrote between 2000 and 2006, which is when he was falling in love with his wife, Fiona, and when I was falling in love with my future husband, Isaac. And so it was that era of the new century and blah, blah, blah. And I was just inexorably drawn to these 5 pieces that he wrote that were all about the joy of new love and the magic. And it really helped me remember that and remember how head over heels I was in love with Isaac and the fact that we made 2 extraordinary humans and all the good things. So it helped me bring succor to my very heavy, lonely, very lonely heart. And so it's quite a dichotomous body of work because there are my songs that are very, very raw and the most vulnerable I've ever been in my life. And then working with Trent, exploring the joy of new love. So, yeah, but they just come out. You can't help it.
But you just described everything about why Burt Bacharach and Hal David songs are the greatest, because the songs are always about the first 6 weeks or the 6 weeks after.
So I actually got to play with him.
Get the fuck. Was he wearing the most amazing suit?
He was.
Yes.
He's incredibly short. I towered over him.
It was a different time.
It was
a different time. People didn't have access to calories.
The Look of Love.
Yes.
And I was freshly married. I was wearing my wedding dress. I might have even been pregnant, actually. I was a good Catholic. I was 18 weeks pregnant at our wedding. Isaac played the tenor saxophone line, the vo-vo, vo-vo, the classic line. Bert was on piano. We had a string. It was at the State Theatre. It was wild. His child had committed suicide a few weeks earlier.
Oh, my God.
And he was telling me about it, and I was just sitting there going, how are you here? You know, and there's a bit of the show must go on, there's a contract, there's all of that stuff. But also he's like, I need the music. I need it to fix me. And also I didn't realize that he co-wrote quite a lot of songs with his ex-wife. She wrote the lyrics. And even though they were not together and they were no longer married and no longer a functioning couple, they were still a functioning songwriting couple, which is pretty incredible.
It's a big jump what you did to in those moments of grief, and it sounded like it was a surprise. I mean, I've been there.
It was and it wasn't.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, well, you look back
COVID
and go,
broke us. Oh, that's right. We were sort of
okay.
fucked.
That makes sense.
I mean, COVID really was what broke us.
You wouldn't be alone.
And of my 10 girlfriends, I've got a coven of 10 beautiful witches. And 6 of them are on the Sunshine Coast and the rest are sort of Sydney, Melbourne, spread around. In fact, one, Mel, she booked the first George gig in June 1996. Of the 10 of us, 5 of us are going through divorce.
Right.
Since COVID. Yeah.
Well, that tracks.
I am 50%. We are 50%. And that's the thing. So, and because I hated social media initially, and I was signed to Sony at the time, and they were like, well, if you don't do it, we'll do it and we'll pretend to be you. And I was like, oh, shit, okay, I better embrace this thing. So I was like, I embraced Facebook. And then I embraced Instagram, which I didn't want to do either. But I've just worked on it being a very beautiful sharing community of supportive space. And the amount of support from incredible divorcees who've gone through this and given me pearls of wisdom and support. And I've just been sitting there bawling my eyes out. It's actually been very beautiful and caring. And yeah, it is 50% of us. Yeah. And they're the stats. We're both those stats.
Oh yeah, I've been divorced, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my...
I'm not divorced yet. It's annoying. It costs money. Everything costs money. All I got to do is do this form. Yeah. And then I went into the thing and I was like, that's $1,200 just for the form. I was like, what the fuck? It's a form.
Yeah.
But I am, because people say, are you divorced? And I was like, well, I'm actually not yet. I mean, yes, but so I'm... Yeah, that's on my ever-growing to-do list for the near future.
It'll just be I was
form.
early on.
You don't have to go to court anymore, at least. You can. It's all digital now.
It's all, it was a moment that I made sure I did it because it was when the iPhones, people would just start to accept a signature, a digital one.
E-signature.
And on a plane, on Wi-Fi on a plane.
Oh, wow.
I signed the thing and hit send somewhere over Kansas.
Wow.
Oh, look at me. But it ended up being a form you sign. By the time you get there, you just go, okay. And
it's important. I wasn't ready till now, I don't think. But the worst thing is, the worst people in this whole process are your children, because, you know, they're beautiful young men, but their entire thing is blown up, you know. It's
they'll
gone.
be stronger for it, Katie.
They will be stronger for it, but it's been a tough.
It is.
I mean, I haven't coped, and I'm 48, and they were like 18 and 19 when it happened, or whatever age. So my parents were in love until my father's last breath.
Wow. That's beautiful.
56 years. And my mum was his full-time carer at level 4 care.
That's tough.
Now, that's as high as it gets, as hard as it gets, for 14 years.
Oy.
Most people last 3 to 4 months, and they're like, they need to go to a home. I can't do this. But my mum did it for 14 years. She took her vows very, 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 very seriously. So that's what I knew. I was like, that's what
You're comparing. Yeah, of
you
course.
know, and Isaac's parents were the same. His mum and dad were together until his dad's last breath. So, yeah, we both grew up with that sense of safety. And then now our kids don't have that. So that worries me a lot. But
because it's okay.
Now, listen, we just played a gig. I've just been playing with Gary Lucas, who co-wrote Grace and Mojo Pin, with a little-known fella called Jeff Buckley.
Jesus.
And I'm going to New York to write with him in the room where Jeff and he wrote all their tunes in Greenwich Village soon. But at the Brisbane gig, my 2 sons jumped up and played. And so, you know, we haven't been connecting much because it's been too painful. But then we played War Pigs by Black Sabbath, and everything was healed.
And you're Aussie?
I was Aussie.
Oh, fuck yes.
Yeah, I was Aussie.
Oh my God.
But up an octave.
Or more. Oh God, I wish I saw
fun.
that.
Yeah.
That is the
and
way.
And we did Grace and Mojo Pin.
Yeah, of course.
But War Pigs was a suggestion that a friend of mine made, and because Gary was in that era. Gary's 74 soon. So he was of the ilk of Sabbath and saw Sabbath play War Pigs in 74 in New York. So, you know, it's his vernacular, and what a tune. And the words now could not be more perfect for the Orange Band. I refuse to say his name.
No, that's okay.
I don't
you
give
don't
him
have
any
to.
oxygen.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
You know, you've done the whole tour of Jeff Buckley. Like, do the Aussie tour. Oh my God.
I missed Aussie. I was too young when they, you know, because I was born in 77. Yeah. And then I only really knew him through that ridiculous reality TV show.
No.
And I met Kelly at the ARIAs, bizarrely.
Oh, I remember that.
She was there one year.
Yeah.
That was the year we won our first ARIA. So that was, and she was lovely. And but I missed Sabbath. And then this friend of mine said, you know what, you should do War Pigs. And I was like, what's that? And then, you know, I found and I was like, these lyrics are basically, you know, for today, couldn't be more pertinent yet again, you know, 40 years later. Yeah. It's 40-something, no more, 50 years later, sorry,
No, it's in, you know, music can be an anti-war song. It can also be when they listen to your record, they can go, that is how I feel now after this relationship I thought was going to last forever. And also that song that you co-wrote with Trent Dalton is like, and I also at the same time have to remember that
that beautiful
part of it was
love.
really awesome.
Honor the love,
Yeah.
There's one song called Dance on the Moon, what's it called? In Her Shoes, and it's all about building a home together, and it reminded me of when we first bought Dexter home and just this life that we'd made, and you know, it was our first home. We had a flat before then, but now we, you know, and that's where our boys grew up, and like remembering those beautiful things and honoring them, because without that love, our children wouldn't exist, and they're my greatest thing ever, more important than any record or song or anything. So, yeah, it's important to remember that,
But you have the ability and you've taken the time to do the work to be able to express that musically. We're lucky, Katie, because other people feel these things. They may not have the ability to express it.
It's frightening.
That's what great
honest.
art is that we can point at a picture or we can listen to a song and go, that's why we used to send mixtapes.
Yeah.
Like that's the feeling that I have. I don't have words, but this does the job. Yeah. There it is.
Yeah.
And that's what you do. That's your job.
It's scary.
You help people communicate with other people how they feel.
Thank you. It is
That's twice now.
It's a
Well done. Good
responsibility
job.
that I take very seriously. Going back to when I wrote Special Ones, I was, 20 or something. And it was about a friend of mine who was a heroin addict, and I was trying to fix them. And I realized I can't do that. Only an addict can fix an addict. And so I realized I needed to walk away to protect myself. So that's what it was about for me. And at the time, I got hundreds, actually probably thousands of messages from women in their 40s and 50s and much older than Baby Noons, who's 20 or 21, saying this song gave me the agency to leave an abusive marriage. Wow. And I was like, whoa, that's a lot. Wow, I actually can't. And I didn't know how to respond because I was so young and didn't understand, it wasn't about that for me. But that was such a gift to me because it made me realize the responsibility of making art, that it is important to offer hope, and the responsibility of being as vulnerable and as truthful as possible, no matter how scary it is. This is the scariest album I've ever released because it is so vulnerable. It's also my 30th album, which is
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. That's so weird.
But that's good. It's like if having written a fair bit and there's podcasts along go, and I hit go.
Yeah.
That's when you know it's close.
You're doing the right thing.
You've got to. If you're not there, then you're probably not hard enough.
If you're not scared, you're not working hard enough. Yeah, exactly.
Look, I'm glad you're able to do the music stuff, but I'm also really good that you're skilled up in the bureaucracy shit so that when it comes time, you can just go, hey, boom, let's go.
Couldn't pay me enough to be a politician, but the recent...
You can help those who are.
Oh, God. I am very passionate about Australian storytelling and championing and celebrating our artists. If we could, the big elephant in the room is gambling. Yeah. If we could somehow have Sydney Symphony versus MSO and a gambling company could make money from it, then we'd be able to get paid like sports people. But that is the elephant in the room. That's why sports stars get six-figure salaries that start with 2, 3s, and 4s.
State of origin. Start with state of origin with the orchestra. Start Queensland
versus QSO versus
Brisbane,
SSO.
QSO versus SSO.
Yeah.
Start that state of origin.
I almost did this in my festival.
I'm saying we do it. I'm saying let's fucking do it.
I wanted to do a thing where it was the greatest moments of Origin history slowdown set to the Queensland Symphony Orchestra playing the great, 1812 overture.
People will go to the ICC. It's 7,000 seats to go and watch an orchestra.
Then a gambling company can do something
and they will play a film and people will play the score. Yeah. They're not even a symphony orchestra. They're just like 100 musicians that they've paid to be there.
We're onto something here.
All right. So we're going to need to get everything from Big W for the camp. We're also going to need to get a lobbyist in Canberra, and we need to set up the orchestra state of origin.
Now, how good is that, the ex-sport dude who's an independent?
Oh, Pocock, he's amazing.
I love him.
Yeah, he played for the Wallabies.
He is...
No nonsense.
But just finally, an honest voice, very articulate, very intelligent, and also quite good looking, which doesn't hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Never met a barbell that he didn't want to punish at 5 a.m. I've stood in the same room with him at a fundraiser thing once. I'm like,
you're large.
He's like, he's in a very good relationship with Taylor,
yes.
who has a very good relationship with geometry because
Yeah.
He doesn't mess around.
That's what I got to do. I got to get back into. I'm officially perimenopausal.
Oh, you got to do some load bearing stuff.
Weights. Yeah,
you got to do it.
And get back in my sauna. Get into my weights.
Yeah.
I've been going to a gym in Nambour, so I've had to move, and I go to an all women's gym in Nambour, and it's awesome. I love it. There are people there from like 10 to about 80, and the fittest woman there is 78. She's a badass. She beats us all.
That's the way.
She's amazing.
I've got to go. You got to go.
I know. We've crapped on for ages.
You got an arts grant to. I don't think this is crapping on.
I have an arts grant.
You've got an arts grant to write.
I do. I want to pay people to make music and do things.
Yeah.
Yay!
Let's do it.
Thank you for the chat.